I'm going to continue this epilogue, and this is going to be the last part of this epilogue, going to be entitled Protests, and with a price gauging a minor to it. And that being said, that some states are already open, but I believe that people are getting antsy and they're getting impatient, as some states are not open until like the end of May. As of today is May the 6th, and many states, particularly out west, where a lot of areas where this coronavirus had originated here in the U.S., are taking extra precautions after concerns of some places open in the South, and the numbers have skyrocketed. So I guess they don't want it to be like a trickle effect or a domino effect from the inside out, as they would get tourists in the West and people that would move out for whatever reason, and the people would be infected in these areas. Okay, I live in Nevada myself, from tourists, or again people that maybe come for business, or if they visit family or whatever. Yeah. So real quick, I like to do this coronavirus update, and in the United States we have 1.26 million people confirmed effective, about 170,000 recovered, and about 75,000 deaths. Probably by tomorrow this is going to be 75,000, but this is 74,577. And worldwide is 3.57 million. Okay, 1.24 million recovered, and 264,000 deaths. So there's no telling when this thing is going to kind of apex or fizzle out. It's predicted probably like in the summer months. So here in Nevada is fairly low with about 5,500 cases. So, and I think they're just trying to keep it that way. So with protests, as you can see, here's an image in Pennsylvania. This image is from ABC News at the state capitol in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where you have guys that are protesting, okay, for the sake of getting back to work or whatever, protesting peacefully. And yes, it is peaceful, but at the same time, many of these protesters are breaking their stay-at-home order. So it's something that protesters have to be very, very careful, because the government could be liable to call the National Guard. I believe that people will just get to where they just had enough. But states like Pennsylvania, a lot of places that they're protesting, they have the highest cases per square mile. And Pennsylvania is one of the highest ones, because with Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, okay, you have many people per square mile. Philadelphia is my father's from West Philadelphia, and that whole metropolitan area is about 5-6 million people. So that's the reason why these states are going to be kept open the longest. New York, Michigan, okay, California, Florida, yeah, and New Jersey. They're going to be they're hotbeds for this virus because of the persons per square mile. Let's move on. Now this is in Fresno, California, okay, about protesters, all right, about opening up and so forth, all right. You have many people that need to get back to work, and some of these places are not going to open back up. So here's a rally right here, okay, and they have MAGA hats and they are angry, okay, but it's peaceful. It's peaceful, and this is their right. Now, this is a concern from the ABC News, as well as protesters. They're violating their stay-at-home orders, okay, and actually President Trump is supporting it. And, well, reason part being is because he's also a business owner, and he's losing a lot of revenue, and he's losing net worth as well. So, but it's he's pushing, or he had pushed for the country to open back up by Easter. That was April 12th, but a lot of the onus is going to be on the governors, okay, to when they're going to open it back up. And there's concerns of not opening in all businesses or opening it back up partially, and because they don't want that onus of liability to be on the governor. So a lot of this is political. But on this article, it does say protesters filed stay-home orders on Monday and took the streets of capitals of Maine and Pennsylvania. Okay. Okay, this protest is in LA, in Santa Clarita. Okay. Out, but this protest is in LA. Some of the cities around Long Beach, Santa Clarita, Ventura Beach, okay, about the states opening and so forth. People who do want to go out and do more, go to the beach and so forth. And from looking at other podcasts and from my research, a lot of people were very, very upset that they had approached the city and state capitals with guns, okay, demanding the state opens back up. Now, that's one of the things that I don't recommend, okay, because, again, that is grounds for the city or the state calling in the National Guard, and it just makes things worse. I'm going to see if I can pull up some images. So this image from Al Jazeera, okay, is in Lansing, Michigan, excuse me, where protesters are showing up with these assault weapons and so forth. Actually, that's a very nice assault weapon right there. That it's a group that wants to reopen, and as a result, the governor, she wants to consider a gun ban. I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, but at one point, I think if these protests are going to keep going on without the state, these states are opening up, then this could be something that could end up getting out of control if something is not done about this. Okay, this is particularly situations like this. Research today. This article is from Christian Action, a biblical response to protests. Okay, and I'm just going to read some of this. Okay, where Elijah had protested or prophesied against the idolatry and apostasy of Israel and the king. So he had protested against his own people that were going against, okay, the Ten Commandments and the Torah. Okay, wickedness of Egypt and Cush. All right, and that happened before in Exodus. I've done a segment on the 10 plagues of Egypt for God getting at the Pharaoh with a series of plagues for not letting go of the Israelites as they protested through Moses. Okay, immorality and violence in Jerusalem. This is when the Babylonians were making raids, okay, to eventually overthrow Jerusalem. Okay, Jesus itself, and I'm going to get to a segment about Jesus and the many accomplishments he's done, okay, for the corruption and destruction of the temple. Okay, this is in Mark 11, where they call it the heathen, and this is many high priests and so forth were doing things like doing business deals and so forth in the church. Okay, and he had protested against that, and also with the Pharisees, the high priests, because they were doing a lot of, let's just say, unkosher deals with Romans and Greek people, okay, that he had questioned the Pharisees' Jewish authority. Okay. As said earlier, King Uzziah, okay, of Babylon was stricken with leprosy, and he was banished from the castle, okay, which in turn where his son had became the new king. But pretty much the meat of this segment is the great protest in Nehemiah 5, and you should read it yourself. I'm just going to scroll through this, and this is when the Israelites came back to Jerusalem after the 70-year exile in Babylon, and yeah, they had intermingled with the Jews, okay, which is a similar form of the Israelites, okay, where a lot of the cattle and a lot of the necessities were in the Jews. This is like the high Jews, okay, or the high priest's hands. And the people did protest, okay, about them needing food, they need animals and so forth. And they were going through a 3-phase at the time. This is the Israelites, like the rehabilitation, okay, was to rebuild Jerusalem, okay, also government reforms. This is through Ezra, okay, and Nehemiah. And then Nehemiah, his job was to help give individually families these are land, all right, and animals, crops, and so forth, and money back to the people. Okay, so basically, it's saying that due to the Jews' price gouging, they had to sell their kids for slaves, borrow money at high interest rates, okay, for fields and vineyards, okay. Some even sold children for slaves, and that had went on since the early stages of the Old Testament and before then. If they were people were in debt, that's what they would have to do. So Nehemiah was pretty much like a prophet to get these issues straightened out. Okay, and what he has done throughout this chapter 5, was that he'd arranged to see the Jews, and they had agreed to give many of those goods back, or share to the Israelites what they needed. Okay, and basically, okay, that Nehemiah wanted to get credit, but also what he wanted people to do, okay, is to not to go against the Torah and so forth. Okay. To love one another, okay, and just to keep, doing whatever God wants them to do, and to be able to pass that on generation to generation as in the attempts to weave the olive tree, okay, of the one true God. Okay, so this is you need to read this on your own, all right, and not only that, but Nehemiah was able to arrange to have food. See, this is to be able to give tax breaks and so forth on silver, okay, grains. So he had helped get the or stimulate the economy by giving the Israelites what they need, okay, as far as in grains, animals, money, and so forth, okay, to help get the Israelite, many of them self-sufficient again. It does speak on feeding 150 Jews, okay, and giving back oxen and sheep and so forth, okay. And again, he wants the people to acknowledge what he has done, okay, but in a good way. Pretty much it on that, okay. I would just encourage people, as things are open up, to if you guys want to protest, it's your right, but please protest peacefully and stay home if you need to. You could always protest online or call your local senator and representative. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe, share, okay, and stay tuned for the next video. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen.